We now know how Russiagate got started, and we know that it was all a lie started by the Hillary Clinton campaign, that the Hillary Clinton campaign realized she was in trouble because of her email scandal, which had broken in 2015 in the wake of Benghazi. We found these emails of hers that were weird, and people were like, what server was that on, and so on. And it created a problem for her all the way up to Election Day 2016.
But I could see them and hear them in my ear, and they said, Tulsi Gabbard, you're coming out and criticizing Hillary Clinton and her foreign policy record. Aren't you afraid of what she'll do to you? He asked me this on live television on MSNBC. And you're laughing. I laughed too. I was like, no, I am not afraid of what Hillary Clinton can do to me.
Megyn Kelly and Tulsi Gabbard stepping in to take on Hillary Clinton feels like watching a tough two-person cleanup crew finally turn the lights on. Together, they go straight after a political heavyweight who thought she'd already survived every hit. From campaign disasters to years of non-stop controversy, nothing gets a free pass. Hillary's carefully managed image starts cracking under the pressure of their words. Every point lands clean and sharp. They call out the contradictions, the scandals, and the costly mistakes that stopped her from ever reaching the power she wanted so badly. This isn't casual criticism. It's a full teardown, delivered with sharp humor, firm confidence, and zero restraint.
Of course, is the original election denier. I'm sure you voted for her in 2016.
Well, she's not an election denier.
She absolutely was the OG election denier.
First of all, she came out before the sun had risen to concede the election to Trump.
And then spent the next 4 years saying he was illegitimate. He was an illegitimate president.
Okay, well, first of all, she didn't say he was an illegitimate.
Yes, she did.
You tell me exactly what she said.
She said those exact words repeatedly.
They are using the same old tactic that the deep state's propaganda arm in the media uses. Whenever they come across something that is true and that doesn't go along with whatever their narrative is that they're trying to shove down the throats of the American people, they first usually ignore it, as they did when I first released these documents.
If you're enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell for more sharp commentary. Megyn Kelly's razor-sharp insight cuts straight through the polished mask of establishment politics. She lays out Hillary's long-running struggle to connect with everyday voters, even after years in the spotlight. With a tone that's both clever and fearless, Kelly strips away the scripted speeches and forced empathy, exposing a politician more focused on image than real connection. Every carefully planned slogan turns into a punchline, as Kelly mocks the endless reinvention, calling out missed opportunities, bad priorities, and the widening gap between the brand and the reality.
Stole his first term as president. These absolute liars who run around trying to act like they're the protectors of democracy completely ruined it, tried to undermine it at every turn and at the highest levels with lies, with out-and-out lies that were really serious, and changed foreign policy and changed the course of history in this country in Trump's presidency. And there must be accountability. There has to be actual criminal accountability for those who lied. And I can't wait to see this administration.
Tulsi Gabbard steps forward with the advantage of first-hand experience, breaking down Hillary Clinton's foreign policy record with calm but cutting clarity. From dangerous moves in the Middle East to her close ties with powerful insiders, Tulsi lays out a pattern of contradictions and moral trade-offs that are hard to ignore. She focuses on how Hillary's actions often conflicted with the values she claimed to stand for. Each point builds a clear picture of a politician driven more by ambition than real progress. Someone who talked about peace but too often chose power instead.
That all of these pieces fit quite seamlessly together, creating a very clear timeline that shifted from before the election, the intelligence community almost uniformly saying essentially that Russia is trying to sow discord in the US election, but has no preference for one candidate over another. And then all of a sudden, Trump wins the election, surprising many people, both here and abroad, as we've learned in later documents that we've reviewed, that throughout that campaign, Russia believed that Hillary Clinton would win the election.
Together, Megyn Kelly and Tulsi Gabbard deliver a sharp, gripping takedown that cracks the myth of Hillary Clinton's political armor. They pull every scandal, every misstep, and every failure to earn real trust straight into the open. Speaking with one clear force, they tear apart the legend around her name, revealing a career shaped more by controversy than success. There's no space for excuses or carefully spun stories here. What plays out is a raw, unapologetic reckoning with the figure who once looked untouchable, but now stands fully exposed in the public eye.
And our audience knows this, and you guys, but just for the record, let's play SOT 10.
I do think that he knows that he's an illegitimate president. I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president. He knows that there were a bunch of different reasons why the election turned out the way it did. And as I've been telling candidates who have come to see me, you can run the best campaign, you can even become the nominee, and you can have the election stolen from you.
We're trying to tell the American people the truth and expose these people, many of whom you just showed, for who they are as the propaganda arm of the deep state, which would have no power and no influence if they weren't able to feed their lies into a willing spokesperson through the propaganda media.
Hillary Clinton's political journey has always been full of contradictions. A dramatic, often chaotic path driven by huge ambition and followed by heavy disappointments. Tulsi and Kelly don't just point out her mistakes. They shine a bright light on the gap between her polished public image and the uncomfortable reality behind it. It's the story of a politician who stayed constantly visible but never truly connected with the people she claimed to represent. Each new reveal peels away another layer of illusion, showing a figure fighting to stay relevant while failing to win the trust and hearts of those she wanted to lead.
So what is so concerning about what Hillary Clinton is doing here is she is not only calling me a traitor, she is not only trying to smear my character, she's sending a warning out to every veteran, every single American, anyone who stands up against the warmongering foreign policies that really are her legacy, that have been so destructive and costly to my brothers and sisters in uniform.
Kelly's critique cuts straight into Hillary's communication style, polished but hollow, rehearsed but strangely lifeless. She paints the portrait of a politician whose every word seems crafted for the teleprompter, designed to impress rather than inspire. It's speech tailored for focus groups, not for people seeking authentic leadership. Kelly's sharp insights reveal how Hillary's grand promises and lofty visions fell flat for voters exhausted by empty rhetoric and political doublespeak. This wasn't a leader sparking a movement, it was someone clinging desperately to fading relevance in a world that had already moved on. Meanwhile, Tulsi brings her insider perspective, breaking down Hillary's foreign policy record step by step. From Libya's collapse to the chaos in Syria, she exposes decisions with devastating consequences, revealing a pattern of interventionist policies that often contradicted the very ideals of peace and diplomacy Hillary claimed to champion.
And as she got closer to Election Day, she decided to concoct two lies about Donald Trump to distract from her email scandal. She got the Steele dossier through this Fusion GPS company that her campaign paid, and she got this group CrowdStrike, which was the one responsible for the hack into that. That's the one that said that the Russians hacked the DNC email.
Megyn Kelly spares no one when calling out Hillary's obsession with controlling the media narrative. She exposes how the Clinton campaign manipulated coverage, silenced dissent, and created a world where criticism was punished rather than addressed. This wasn't transparency, it was a stage-managed PR machine protecting a fragile image from falling apart. Tulsi picks up the thread, sharpening the critique, focusing on Hillary's failure to adapt to a fast-changing political world. She highlights how Hillary never fully understood the struggles of working-class Americans, leaving a gap her opponents were quick to exploit. The roast digs even deeper with the infamous email scandal. Both women insist it wasn't just a slip-up, but a symbol of deeper ethical cracks. Tulsi presents it as clear evidence of lapses in judgment and integrity that permanently damaged Clinton's credibility and public trust.
When I resigned as vice chair of the DNC in 2016, specifically so that I could campaign against Hillary Clinton in that Democratic primary.
Kelly goes straight for the contradictions in Hillary's climb to power. Sure, she broke glass ceilings, but her methods often clashed with the unity expected of a true feminist icon. Tulsi drives the point home, showing how Hillary missed countless opportunities to forge real alliances, opting instead for calculated politics that pushed her own supporters away. As their roast deepens, they dismantled the illusion of inevitability around her career, revealing how overconfidence and strategic errors became her undoing. Kelly highlights how Hillary underestimated the energy of grassroots movements and the nation's demand for real change, while Tulsi frames her story as a warning about ambition divorced from the people's voice. Together, they expose a legacy that's both magnetic and maddening, commanding fierce loyalty from some while leaving others frustrated and betrayed.
One of the pieces that Glenn and I were getting close to in the discussion was the Hillary piece of this and the evidence, because that is, they do name a couple of names in this appendix on who came up with this scam. And the name that we keep seeing over and over, as one of them at least, was Julianne Smith. Schellenberger writes Julianne. It's Julianne. He writes, the alleged creator of the plan was Julianne Smith, a Clinton policy advisor.
The ending hits with full force. Kelly and Tulsi portray Hillary Clinton not as a victim of circumstance, but as the architect of her own undoing. They argue that her legacy won't be defined by victories, but by missed opportunities, broken trust, and an image that crumbled under scrutiny. This isn't just a roast, it's a reckoning, urging the audience to look past the headlines and media spin. Kelly and Tulsi push viewers to face the uncomfortable reality of one of America's most examined figures, reminding us that in politics, as in life, authenticity and accountability outweigh polished speeches and rehearsed charm. What emerges is a stark portrait of a woman who tried to be everything for everyone and ended up standing for nothing at all.
Also, in this latest House report, they talk about how they also in the House, this is the House in 2020, pointing out that the ICA of 2017 ignored evidence that Putin seemed to be protecting Hillary Clinton in a couple of ways. It did not mention, for example, that Putin chose not to leak info he appeared to have on Hillary Clinton's health, including that she suffered from psycho-emotional problems and was on daily tranquilizers. We don't know whether that's true. We know that Putin appeared to have that intel in his pocket and chose not.
Leaving the criminal charges to the Department of Justice. I am not an attorney, but as I've said previously, when you look at the intent behind creating a fake manufactured intelligence document that directly contradicts multiple assessments that were created by the intelligence community, the expressed intent and what followed afterward can only be described as a years-long coup and a treasonous conspiracy against the American people.
Kelly tears into the carefully crafted image Hillary built, designed to appeal to everyone but connecting with almost no one. The polished speeches, staged empathy, and forced relatability all fall apart under Kelly's piercing critique. She argues that authenticity was the first casualty of Hillary's obsession with optics. Voters, Kelly warns, can always tell when someone is faking it, and that perception is deadly to trust. Tulsi steps in next, digging even deeper with her insider perspective, exposing reckless foreign policy decisions that sparked chaos. From failed interventions to cozy ties with global elites, together they paint a damning portrait of unchecked ambition, showing how a mix of compromises and missteps destroyed Hillary's credibility beyond repair.
So the Russians were able to hack Leonard, and that's where they saw the plan. And we now have in the Durham Annex, like full screen grabs of the Russian memos that the Dutch got their hands on and leaked to us, where the Russians are recounting exactly what they saw Leonard discussing about this Hillary Clinton fan and emissary, Julianne Smith, and how they were going to stop Trump, undermine Trump, but most importantly, distract from Hillary's email scandal.
Kelly targets Hillary's media tactics, showing how her attempts to suppress criticism backfired badly. Instead of control, they created defensiveness and suspicion, deepening public doubt. Tulsi sharpens the critique, pointing out that in a time when voters crave honesty and transparency, secrecy only made Hillary seem more disconnected. Both women highlight her failure to connect with struggling working-class Americans, leaving her exposed to rivals who capitalized on that frustration. The infamous email scandal resurfaces. Kelly mocks the clumsy attempts at damage control, while Tulsi frames it as evidence of deeper ethical flaws that couldn't be ignored. They also call out the contradictions in her feminist stance, publicly championing women's rights while privately undermining female rivals, a double standard that weakened what might have been a unifying cause.
This woman should be in jail. Literally, Hillary Clinton should be behind bars. And so should the people who worked for her who did this. This is so blatantly corrupt. She wanted to distract from her email scandal. She cooked up a plan to accuse Trump of being a Russian agent in order to distract from her own legitimate scandal. She made up a scandal about Trump being a Russian.
At the peak of their critique, Kelly and Tulsi fully dismantle the myth of Hillary Clinton's inevitability. They show how her overconfidence blinded her to the powerful grassroots energy rising beneath her. Kelly exposes a candidate who underestimated the strength and passion of bottom-up movements, while Tulsi highlights how that critical misstep ultimately sealed her downfall. Their blistering roast ends with a sober lesson. True political success isn't just about breaking barriers, it's about earning real trust. They argue that Hillary's story serves as both a warning and a lesson, a clear example of what happens when ambition overshadows authenticity. In the end, they remind us that even the most polished figure can crumble under the weight of contradictions and unkept promises.